Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk about the Canon Pro-1000, and specifically we're going to talk about the cost associated with this printer. Now, if you've looked at the sticker price, it may come as a big surprise, and not to mention the initial purchase, but subsequent purchases after. Replacing ink on this thing is extremely expensive. So if you're curious of if you should invest in this unit for your home printing, stick around. We're going to get into the nitty-gritty of how much this thing actually costs to run. I'm an old school kind of gal. I like to write things down on pen and paper. So first and foremost, we need to purchase the actual printer. The printer and ink bundle costs $1,312. Beyond that, when you do need to replace the ink, hold your breath. Ink replacement is a whopping $699 to replace all the ink cartridges. Each cartridge is about $59.99 a piece. So when we think about ink and usage, how much ink is used on an average print? So let's use a couple of examples. So total ink volume, 880 milliliters. One of the more common sizes of photos that I print is a 4x6. So let's take that as one of our first examples. So 4x6, if I'm purchasing a 100 count package, which I typically do of the Canon glossy 4x6 paper, that is $14.43 total. So each print or each sheet costs about 14 cents. Now, the cost of printing with ink is 22 cents. So how does this compare if you were to use a site like MPix or another print house? So we'll put that over on this column here. So for a 4x6 print from MPix, it's gonna cost about 36 cents. So the cost savings here isn't huge, but if you do a ton of 4x6 printing, that 10 cents will certainly add up over time. Example number 2, the Canon Pro-1000, the largest dimensions it can print is a 17x22. So let's dig into that. So for the 17x22 example, we'll use a pack I purchased of Canon paper, or 25 count, that cost $59.99. So each sheet of the 17x22 cost about $2.40 a piece. So to print a 17x22, which you want to, because this thing can do it, so why not? Total cost with paper and ink for a 17x22 is about, give or take, we'll say $5.80. If you were to print a 17x22 at MPix, how much would it cost? Believe it or not, they are actually charging $60.21. Now mind you, both of these you have to add shipping. So straight out of the gate, you can tell the cost savings for the 4x6 isn't extremely significant. However, if you're going to be printing big and often, the cost savings between shipping out from like an MPix or an online ordering site versus doing it at home, that can add up very, very quickly. One thing though to keep in mind when purchasing this printer, there are a ton of videos on YouTube that talk about this, but it's the fact that you have to print often. So these nozzles, they have really advanced technology in them to prevent clogging. So in order to do so, there's a maintenance routine that it happens, and I haven't been able to find a definitive answer, but I've seen a couple of different websites that say the maintenance occurs every 60 hours, which is about 2.5 days. So what does this maintenance cycle mean? It is essentially purging those lines so there's not any clogs built up. So when you're ready to print, everything flows nice and smooth. What's the problem with that? Well, that ink that's being purged through the lines, it's being dumped into what's called a maintenance cartridge. And I have learned the hard way that if you don't print regularly enough to avoid going into that cleaning cycle, that maintenance cartridge can fill up and it's essentially all your ink wasted that you just have to throw away. Now, and another cost, we didn't cover this in the beginning, but if you should fill up a maintenance cartridge, how much does it cost to replace? A maintenance cartridge costs $25. So based on some of this very simple math and taking a look at the cost difference between printing at home and understanding how often you would have to print, is this Canon Pro-1000 worth it for you? In my case, I find it extremely valuable because first and foremost, it has allowed me to really round out the entire photography process, owning my art and my craft from idea to actually going out and shooting it, and then being able to physically hold it on the back end here in my home. The other reason this is valuable and makes sense for me is that I live out in the country. I'm about an hour from Austin and I'm an hour from San Antonio, Texas. So being able to get into a lab and get hands-on with a company, it's not really practical for me. So I've really enjoyed being able to manage everything right here from my home studio, and again, owning the process myself. Another reason the Canon Pro-1000 is worth it to me, even with some of these ridiculous prices, is the fact that I print often. And I don't always print large like you can see on the wall behind me, but I typically print small because one of my goals is to actually print more and create photo albums. I know every time I go home to my parents' house, it's just so much fun to sit down after dinner with my family and flip through old photo albums. And so with the advent of the iPhone and all digital photography, I feel like we've lost a lot of that tangible, tactile storytelling. So it's been a goal of mine to print, again, small and often. So this is what helps me to, if I'm not ready to print something large for my wall or for friends or a sale, I can most definitely print small just to keep those inkwells flowing. If you're looking for tips and tricks on once you purchase this unit, what are some ways to get the most out of your printing experience, I've got another video. I'll drop a link down below. But otherwise, I greatly appreciate you watching and would love some feedback here. I know I got a ton of comments on my previous video, and I feel like this is something that a lot of folks had questions on. So let me know, did this help? Are you thinking about buying one? Did this help push you over the edge in your purchasing decision? Let me know. But as always, I really appreciate you being here. If you haven't already, be sure to hit that subscribe button. It just lets me know that you appreciate what I'm doing and I should keep doing it. But until the next time, happy shooting.